Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA tournament that if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Everyone just loves New Mexico to upset. Number 6 have the potential to go at least one more round. Deron Holmes, Shahade Wells, and Enrique Freeman, 3 players you have to know about. And we are back, everyone. The FTN College Basketball Betting Show. Mike Randle here with you as always. Give me a note in the comments if you can hear me, because I know there's some problem with StreamYard this morning, people were saying, but I think we are good to go. I got some people in the chat. Just give me a thumbs up or something in the chat if you can hear me and we are ready to roll. But I think we are live and things are going well. A lot of dogs today, a lot of fun stuff to talk about, a lot of things going on here in college basketball. As always, join us here at FTN Fantasy. And what you want to do right now is join us because of our MLB package. That's right, our MLB package. Join us here, FTN Fantasy. You go to the site, you go to pricing, you hit our MLB package, MLB Fantasy, ready to go. Vlad Sedler. There is no better fantasy baseball team in the business, period. End of story. Models, picks, drafts. The Gladiator, Vlad's Gladiator article is already live on the site. You want to go here and promote all the great stuff, enjoy all the great stuff that we have for MLB. Comments are on. You can hear me, ready to go. Here we go. Austin, a lot of dogs today. We'll talk about it. You got a Scott Cross covers. It's always a beautiful day when Scott Cross is here on the show. Jameson, great to see you, buddy. Austin, you're in the house. I appreciate you can hear me. Let's go. Now, I want to start today because we don't have a ton of games. I want to go through some of the stuff that we learned, just some thoughts that I want to pass on to you. Number one, the SEC is dominating. They are destroying. Look at the SEC's records for each of the teams in the SEC has been unbelievable this year. The most dominant conference in college basketball. You go to KenPom, they rank them there as well. Going through the top teams, we had the Week 6 poll, the legendary Week 6 poll that just dropped on Monday. And remember, for each of the past 20 years, going back to 2004, the national champion has been ranked inside the top 12 of that poll. Crazy stat, but very true. So you take a look at those teams and some of the ones that maybe you are focusing on. Couple for me that I want to look at: Iowa State, of course, Gonzaga, Auburn, and the Oregon Ducks, who are a little sneaky. Yep, they are. Dane Altman does a great job. Some thoughts here. Duke is getting better. Cooper Flagg is doing a nice job. They're improving. I'm still concerned about Gonzaga. That was a bad loss to Kentucky. You know, outside of the Baylor game where they shot the lights out, Gonzaga has not been overly impressive here. They barely beat Arizona State at home. They did beat San Diego State away, but that's a young San Diego State team. They kind of went back and forth with Indiana for a while, who's not very good. Lost to West Virginia on a neutral, bad loss. Lost to Kentucky. Gonzaga is great. It's just, do I think they're going to win the national title? That's what I'm worried about. But we've seen teams struggle early and get it together. But Gonzaga is national championship or bust. A couple of things, then we'll get to the picks. I still believe in St. John's. They had a nice comeback. Kansas State put up a good fight, but Louis Carnesecca, the day was just very emotional, and they had a big performance. If they shoot, they can absolutely make a Final Four, and I still think they're winning the Big East. I've said that before. Oregon playing really well in the Big Ten. Michigan's better than I thought. The reason that they're better is because what's going on with Danny Wolf is unreal. Danny Wolf at 7 feet is basically a point guard when the ball comes across half court. And sure, they have Trey Donaldson, and sure, they have Roddy Gale, but Danny Wolf takes over running the offense, and that's a mismatch that no one has. So Dusty May, great job by him. Florida Atlantic, of course, doing all those great things. I am worried about North Carolina. That was a bad game against Georgia Tech. They had lost 3 in a row. They're really struggling. You know my thoughts on Hubert, and I think it's going to be a problem. So those are just some things to take a look at. We have some big games today. Let's get to them. Go right around the horn here. Let's see. Yeah, we took a hit on Saturday, Mo. Saturday was rough. We were flying high. I mean, 34 units up on college basketball sides in 1 month is unheard of. We gave some back on Saturday. No problem. It's going to happen. We're going to go up and down. We're going to get hot again. We're going to get up to 50 units. We're going to come back down a little bit. That's the way college basketball flows. So a couple bad losses on Saturday. Started off slow, got hot in the middle, struggled at the end. That's what happens, Mo. But we're here. We're going to keep working through it. And in the end, you'll be happy with results. That much I can promise you. Yeah, I know. Trevor, I've always liked the SEC. Always thought high of them, and they're really proving it this year as well. And we'll get to, okay, we got a couple games here. Let's get to the games and go through it. First off, this game's an MSG, Jimmy V Classic. I almost went to this game. I was there last year. I decided not to go this year. Got a couple things going on with the kiddos after school. But I'm going to take Tennessee minus 15.5 against MSG. On a neutral court, I am always going to take the better team, unless the spread is really something that I think is worthwhile. This is a Tennessee team that is very strong. It's a Tennessee team that is 8-0. It's a Tennessee team that under Rick Barnes always starts well because he is such an underrated coach. Too many coaches in college basketball are criticized because they don't win a title or win the big one or get to enough Final Fours. The key is sustained success, and that's what Rick Barnes has. This team is great on offense. They're top 10 per KenPom. They're great on defense. They're number 2 per KenPom. They force turnovers. They're making their free throws. Teams are actually making their free throws at a 74% clip against them, which is a little unrealistic. And here comes a Miami team that's struggling. Miami played better against Clemson, but they did fall at home by 10. They've lost 6 straight games. They're not defending the 3 well. They're good inside the arc, but Tennessee is going to be lethal on inside the arc. They're playing at a very slow pace. I don't have a reason to take Miami. I like Jim Larinaga. I don't think this is a spot on a neutral court. If the game was home and you wanted to say maybe they'll play well, that's fine. But they were home against Clemson and they gagged it there. I think Tennessee's the better team. I'm going to take the points there. I know it's a lot. Number 2, North Dakota State versus Butler. You know, Butler's okay. They're decent. They shoot well from 3. They defend well, but they don't force any turnovers. Neither does North Dakota State. North Dakota State likes to shoot the 3. North Dakota State is a disciplined team. North Dakota State is one of the favorites in the Summit League. I just think this is a lot of points. And I get it that Butler's home and they should play well, and they're coming off a loss to Houston. I understand that. But they got Wisconsin coming up. Then they start the Big East schedule with Marquette and UConn and Villanova and St. John's right off the bat. And they turn the ball over a lot. So I think this is too many points for North Dakota. I like Dave Richmond. They shoot the 3 well. They also defend the 3 well. They're very well coached. They won 4 straight games. North Dakota State is a problem. And I think it's too many points. And I'm going to take the underdog here, getting 14 at Butler. I have watched Florida Atlantic. My suggestion for this game is if you want to bet it live, that's fine. You can either bet it live if Florida Atlantic gets up big, or you can bet it live if Jacksonville gets up big. But I don't trust Florida Atlantic. They're very up and down. They're very helter-skelter. They like to cause turnovers, but they like to give turnovers away also. They're not great on the boards. They're not great at defending the 3s. They don't make their free throws. I think they're taking a step back. They're very frenetic is what they do, and they're playing a Jacksonville team that forces turnovers, is great on the offensive boards, and has had some good battles against Florida away. They were in that game. They were at Furman away, which is not easy. So they've had some decent games here. They're playing Florida Atlantic. It is a rivalry. It's still in the state of Florida. A lot of points. I don't think Florida Atlantic's winning this game by 14. In fact, if I look at their wins this year, besides the Indiana State game on a neutral, they went to 2 overtimes and lost away to Charleston. They lost away to UCF. They went to overtime against Liberty. They lost to Drake on a neutral. They lost to Seton Hall, who's terrible on a neutral, got pushed around. They lost to Florida Gulf Coast at home in the rivalry game. And they went away to FIU and won, but they had to pull away late. Florida Atlantic is helter-skelter. There's a lot of variance. If they're scalding hot, they can beat this Jacksonville team by 20. I don't see it. I'm taking the Jacksonville Dolphins plus 13. I like St. Joe's, and I put out on Twitter that I like what I see from St. Joe's, but I don't think that this line should be this high. This game is home, but Charleston under Chris Mack is starting to get things together. They drilled a good Northern Kentucky team. They've had a couple wins. They have beat Florida Atlantic, like I said. I think this line is too high. St. Joe's is a great team in terms of they can battle anyone because they have the guard play, but the numbers don't support them this year. 33% from three-point range, not great on the boards, not forcing a lot of turnovers. Billy Lang, not sure about him as head coach. I am taking Charleston plus 8. A lot of turnover in Charleston. They're still relying on the 3, but Chris Mack's a good coach, even though there's changeover in the coaches there. I'll take Charleston plus 8 at St. Joe's. St. Joe's at home lost to Princeton by 8. St. Joe's at home beat Villanova by 7. St. Joe's at home lost to Central Connecticut. St. Joe's at home beat Navy by 7. They're not dominating. Charleston, +8. You don't like this game? That's fine. I am not laying 35 points to anybody. Not with what we've seen so far. I get it. Duke is good. They're playing better. I understand. I'm not laying 35 points. I'm just not doing it. I don't lay 35, 40 points. Anything can happen. Anyone can get backdoored. Incarnate Word isn't great, but Duke can ease off the pedal here. And Duke is coming off of Louisville. Then they have George Mason, Georgia Tech. They start their season. I just don't see them winning by this many points. They beat Wofford at home by 31. They did beat Army at home by 42. That's fine. Incarnate Word is number 8 in the country in three-point shooting. They're making 41% of the three-pointers. So you know there's going to be some variance. We can hit some shots late. I never lay this amount of points. I think it loses more often than it does. You know it's Duke, and people are going to bet them. I don't care. Incarnate Word, +35. Took a look at Xavier. And if we look at Xavier at home, and this is a tricky spot because they have Cincinnati in the crosstown shootout away coming up on Saturday. But let's look at Xavier at home. 78 points against Texas Southern to open. 94 points against IUND. 94 points against Jackson State. 75 against Wake Forest, good team. 80 against Siena. 71 against South Carolina. I'm going to take them over here against Morgan State because they play well at home. The reason being Morgan State is one of the top 30 fastest teams in the country. They're going to get up and down. And in their road games that they've played this year, they have allowed 102 to Bowling Green, 92 to UMBC, 82 to Buffalo, 86 to North Carolina A&T, 84 to Longwood. They allow 80 to everybody. And now they're going to Xavier, a team that plays well at home, that shoots well at home. Yes, it's Cincinnati coming up, and I get that. I'm taking Xavier over 93.5 points at home. And I'm also taking Morgan State +30.5. So I think both teams score. I think both teams get up and down the court. I like Morgan State because of the Cincinnati crosstown shootout coming up on Saturday. Morgan State isn't great. I understand that. But this is a spot. This is a situational spot, sleepy spot for Xavier. I'll take Morgan State +30. I have seen Davidson multiple times this year. I don't know why they're favored by 9.5 in this game. I don't think they're very good. There's a lot of motion in their offense under Matt McKillop. They try to get open shots and open threes, but they can struggle. They don't force any turnovers. They're terrible on the boards. They are allowing 42% from three-point range. That is 4th worst among the over 360 teams in Division I basketball. And now they're playing a Charlotte team under Aaron Ferns that can actually make some shots and doesn't turn the ball over. I don't like this Davidson team. They have Detroit Mercy at home. They have Temple. They have a couple games coming up. They haven't impressed me at all. I don't think they're winning it by 10. I don't. I'll take Charlotte plus the 9.5 points. Another rivalry game here, Albany versus Syracuse. I have not been impressed with what I have seen out of Syracuse. Albany under Dwayne Killing can do some things. They do get up and defend and force turnovers. They have not been impressive this year. They're 6-4, but they struggled against Georgetown. They struggled against BYU away in overtime, but that was impressive because that was a decent team. Syracuse after this has Georgetown, Maryland, Bucknell, and then they start the ACC. They've lost 2 straight games, so this is a good spot for Syracuse, but their offense has not been good. They're shooting 26% from three-point range. They are not making their free throws. This is a game that I expect people to be on Syracuse for a bounce back. Albany, New York will get up for this game, and they have certainly played in the past, and this is not a team that is usually blown out by Syracuse. It's very similar to Cornell. I'll take Albany plus the 12.5 here. The subs already know this, and they grabbed it right away. This is the quintessential spot for Brown, the quintessential spot, and the reason being Archie Miller has done a remarkable job at Rhode Island. Rhode Island is 9-0. They are one of the few undefeated teams left in college basketball. They are coming off a good rivalry battle with Yale. They won at home by 6. A really tough rivalry battle with Providence. They won by 6. One more. Third one. Now they're going away to Brown. This is a classic Brown spot. This is the perfect spot for Brown. Rhode Island, they're good. They're physical, but they don't make their free throws. They can be a little shaky when it comes to scoring. Typical Brown spot. 9-0, undefeated Rhode Island team, playing above their head, playing the third straight rivalry proximal game in Rhode Island. Now they're going away after 2 straight home games. Classic spot for Brown. Classic spot for Brown. I will take them every day of the week, and I'm fine with the money line. Penn State has also been really good this year, but this is a classic spot for Rutgers. Rutgers at home is lethal. You have seen them time and time again play extremely well. I'm going to the game on Saturday with my son and my cousin and his son, the Rutgers-Seton Hall game. Rutgers has lost 3 straight games, but they have played Alabama, Texas A&M, both of which were close, and Ohio State away where the game got away from them. Now they're coming home where they're always very good. Penn State. This is the second game here in conference play. Penn State is flying high. They're 8-1. They just beat Purdue by 11 points at home. And now they're going away to Rutgers. Rutgers is always difficult. Rutgers is always a challenge at home. Rutgers plays really well. And I have been incredibly impressed by what has gone on with 2 key players, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, both of which are going to be drafted in the first round of the draft this year in the NBA. It took a while. They struggle inside on the interior. Rutgers does, but I don't think Penn State can take advantage of that. Rutgers, -2 at home. I put it in the chat last night. It was -1 for the subs. Now we're going to -2. If you're shocked this pick's coming, you're not watching this show. I have told you that Houston is not quite at the level that I expected them to be. They're still really good, like UConn. And the UConn fans are great. They're all fired up, mad at me for saying, you're not as good. You're not as good as you've been the last 2 years, and that's okay. Houston, same thing. Only shooting 46% from inside the arc and relying a lot on threes. Now, the reason I like Troy in this game, and I've also sprinkled on the money line, is because Troy does the things that you need to do to stay close with Houston. They force turnovers. They are great on the boards. They're number 20 in the country in offensive rebounding, and they can also make some threes. They haven't made a lot of threes this year, but they have that ability. This is a classic matchup here for Troy. I think Troy keeps it close. It's 26.5. You got to realize the money line is a coin flip. It's a lottery ticket. It's fun. That's what we do here. I like Troy. It's a sleepy spot for Houston. I think they play well. I think Scott Cross is a good coach. I recognize that Houston could pound them. That's fine. But if you don't take a risk, no risk it, no biscuit. That's what we do here. Troy plus 26.5, and we're taking the money line. Rivalry game again. Princeton looks good. They look like they're the class of the Ivy League with Yale. Now they're playing a Monmouth team under King Rice. And if you watch this show, we have taken Monmouth on multiple occasions because Monmouth can actually play these games and keep them close. And Monmouth this year has impressed us multiple times. We took Monmouth against Seton Hall and we won. They played a couple games and they kept it close. Stephen F. Austin away they covered. Wichita State away they covered. So you look at this matchup and it is 1-9 Monmouth, who has the worst interior offense going on the road against Princeton. But I don't care. I'm taking Princeton, who has a loss to Furman last Saturday. He plays Rutgers at a neutral this Saturday and is now playing a Monmouth team that is 1-9. Sleepy spot, Monmouth, King Rice, good coach. Let's go for the cover. Monmouth has battled. They battled against Rutgers. They usually do well in these proximal games. They beat Seton Hall. I believe in King Rice. I'll take the 14.5. Is DePaul good? Is DePaul good? Have we seen the change with Chris Holtmann at DePaul enough to say that they're good? Well, we're going to find out here. This is the Big East Conference opener for a DePaul team that started 7-0 and went down to Texas Tech and lost only by 14 and played really well. They're shooting great from three-point range, 40%. They're defending the three well. They are good on defense for effective field goal percentage allowed. They're good on offense with effective field goal percentage scoring. They play at a good pace. They shoot a lot of threes. That means a lot of variance. Here comes Providence, who's lost 4 of their last 5, but does have the benefit of getting Bryce Hopkins back. But he's not fully acclimated into this team. They're not forcing turnovers, and they're still not making free throws. I'm going to take DePaul. I'm going to take Chris Holtmann. I think he's going to get a Big East win here, and he's done one of the remarkable turnaround jobs in the entire country. DePaul as a favorite over Providence with Bryce Hopkins. I'll take DePaul. Like I said, I'm wrong about Michigan. This is a Bayesian process. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to like teams and not like teams and have to change it. Michigan's good. Michigan's good. Danny Wolf is going to play in the NBA. Danny Wolf is an NBA player. 7-footer, that can make threes. That's a matchup nightmare. Here comes Arkansas in MSG. It's the second game tonight with Cal, who does no X and O coaching and just rolls the balls out and hopes his talent's good enough. Not the matchup. Dusty May, Vlad Golden, Roddy Gale, a lot of talent on this team, and Danny Wolf, who's in matchup nightmare. And Cal's not going to know what to do with him. I'm going to lay the points here at Michigan. It's a little high. I'd like it to be 2.5, but I'll lay it with Michigan minus 4.5. We've made a lot of money with Cornell, and we're going back to it. I love what Madsen is doing out in California. He's done a very nice job, and California played well against Stanford but lost. They went away to Missouri and lost. That's 2 straight games. They're coming home now against Cornell, so this should be a get-right spot. But the problem is California is one of the worst teams in the country at defending the three-pointer. And when you play Cornell, that's not what you want to do because Cornell generates over 51% of their points from beyond the arc. They're well coached by John Jocks. They've won 3 of the last 4. They're 6-3 this year. They played Syracuse away. They've played some decent teams and battled. Samford at home was a nice win. Now they're playing a California team that, according to Ken Pom and Torvik, rates around Samford. I'm going to take Cornell, well coached, good pace, good offense, good three-point shooting to cover the 9.5 at Cal. Whenever you have a spread in college basketball where the home team is only favored by 1 or 2, always think about taking the underdog. Always do that. It's just a general rule. Not universal, but it's just a general rule. I am going to take, in this matchup, UMKC. And the reason I'm taking UMKC is because UMKC was the favorite this year in the preseason poll to win the Summit League. They are at the bottom of the barrel right now. Marvin Menzies, who's done a real good job with Kansas City, is struggling. They have lost 3 straight games. Southeast Missouri away, not a bad loss. Idaho home, that's a bad loss. Montana State. This is the bottom of the barrel. But they're still only 2.5-point underdogs at Portland. I think he's going to get it right. I think this team is decent, Kansas City. I think they've struggled without some key players. But I don't think Portland is an incredible matchup. And they are the worst team in the country at forcing turnovers. So Kansas City shouldn't have to worry about that. They're terrible on the offensive boards. They don't really guard inside the interior. And I think UMKC is going to get it right as the preseason Summit League favorite. So this is a buy low spot in UMKC. The Ruse, UMKC plus 2.5 at Portland. And the last game before I get to your questions, Wyoming plus 1.5 against South Dakota. Wyoming is well coached. Wyoming plays at a slow pace. And I love the fact that Wyoming has turned the quarter here under Sundance Wicks. Sundance Wicks, the head coach, came over from Green Bay, had a great year last year, and they got off to a decent start. Then they lost in the neutral to Loyola Marymount when Loyola Marymount shot really well, but they covered in that game. Then they went to Utah State, really tough place to play. Utah State, very solid team under Jared Calhoun this year, who's a perfect 9-0. And they only lost by 3. So Wyoming is starting to get things right. So despite the fact that they're 5-3 and they're going on the road to South Dakota, which is an area that Sundance Wicks knows very well, I am going to take them plus 1.5 at South Dakota because, again, when you have teams that are slight underdogs on the road, always piques my interest. South Dakota, by the way, the absolute worst team or one of the worst teams in college basketball at defensive rebounding. No good. Hot Wyoming team, played a couple tough games on the road, competed well. I'm taking them here, Wyoming plus 1.5. Let's get to your questions. As always, let's see. Here we go. I think Gonzaga is really good. The Zags are excellent, but I think that they have trouble against really athletic teams. And they're not going to run into super athletic teams, but the fact that Graham Ike had such an incredible game and they still lost is a little concerning because he's their main interior player. I know Nolan Hickman can get hot and cold. The point guard likes to let things come to him at times and not take over. Nembhard and Khalif Battle, who I really like, has to deliver. But the fact that Graham Ike had 28 points and 11 rebounds and they still lost, they shouldn't lose to anybody. If they want to win a national title, you can't lose that game because Graham Ike usually plays about 25 minutes. Played 35 minutes in this game, dominated. They still lost. That's a rough one. Like I said, hi, Roland. I like Iowa State. You know that. I like Auburn. You know that. Gonzaga, I'm still thinking about. And I think Oregon's interesting. So Iowa State and Auburn Oregon, yeah, are my favorite. I don't like Providence here. I don't. I'm going to go with DePaul. I get it, and I'm going against what I just said about a slight road favorite, but slight road underdog. But I'm going to take DePaul. I think DePaul is good. I think we're getting value, and I think the books have been slow to adjust. So I'm going with them here. Miami stinks. I do, Austin. And if this game was home, I can get there. But why would they come to MSG, where Tennessee has been multiple times, including the final? They were in the Elite Eight a couple of years ago here against Florida Atlantic. They're comfortable here. They're playing well. They just played in Hawaii, played well. Why would they stink here? I get it. We risk a backdoor cover with Miami. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm taking Tennessee. They haven't won by less than 15 all year. Yeah, I agree. It could. I agree. And also, Trevor, that Miami with Nigel Pack could hit a couple threes late and cover. So don't make this one of your big investments today, but I like them. Today's a money line day. Hi, Roland. Absolutely. The brown one I want. Yeah, I'm going with DePaul. Mention that. Yeah, look at right. Was that Ben's? Yeah, Ben's. I can't lay big points. I can't lay 35 points with anybody. Not in today's college basketball. I can't do that. I get it's an incarnate word. This isn't a great spot, but I'm not laying those points. Syracuse shouldn't lay double digits to anyone. I agree. Dogs have been hot for us, Austin. We've been great. We've been over 75% on dogs this year. I did a calculation. Over 75% on dogs. The favorites are the ones that drive me crazy. Albany's different. Yeah, I think they're pretty good. Brown outright is the way to go. I would recommend money line on some of these. I'm fine with it. I'm going to take a shot. I took a half unit in the FTN Fantasy Discord on Troy. I mean, I got plus 4,000, plus 3,500, whatever it was. Why not? Let's see. I agree. Rack's going to be jumping tonight. Harper's incredible. If Harper can score in Houston and Harper can score in all these teams, are going to score in Penn State. And Penn State is at the top of the market right now with all their wins. It's fine. DePaul's threes could light them up at home. I agree. Austin, I'm not surprised. I believe that this could be the first time that DePaul is favored in a Big East game, especially in many, many years. I agree. Yep, Cornell, I'm taking them. 9. They're going to shoot threes. They're well coached. Cal's lost 2 in a row, which is why you're getting that value because they're coming home and they're pretty good. Matson's a good coach. I just don't know if Cornell's the spot here tonight. We like South Dakota, huh? We like South Dakota. Am I wrong on that? Maybe I am. I like Wyoming. I do. I like Sundance Wicks. He's played 2 good straight games in a row. I like it. That's going to do it, folks. There you go. We're here on Tuesdays. We'll be back again on Thursdays. Same sort of time, of course, on Thursdays. And then the Saturday morning show at 10 a.m. As always, hit the like, subscribe button. And remember, FTN Fantasy, you got to join us. Get the Discord. Get the plays right away. And our MLB package is absolutely off the charts. Come and join us here. Get ready. We already have you prepared for the MLB season. Guys, thank you for your loyalty. I am nothing without you. And as always, FTN Fantasy, we find you the edge. Here are 3 players to watch in the NCAA tournament that if you